Space, the final frontier.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 17, When the Bough Breaks, is over. And it has been since February 15th of 1988. But we're just getting started here on this, what is it today, guys? September 10th, 2024, as we continue our ongoing mission to watch every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation and talk about it. And we got a great panel here to talk all about it. I'm Dave Mader, here on a live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Or you might be listening to us on audio version. We got the great Heather Narduzzi with us once again.
Hello. I'm very excited to take a trip to Aldea today.
Me too. Hopefully we don't get any radiation sickness. And joining us for the first time on the podcast and on the channel, actually, although he has been on some of our UFP sister channels, it's Justin Velociraptor.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Yes, welcome. Excited to talk to you about this one. A new panelist here who was just on Trivial Debates with me some time ago. Go and watch that episode if you're especially if you're a Game of Thrones fan. And we are also expecting Chris the World Mind Murphy to join us, but he's not here. He's late. And
Oh, this is a good time to talk some shit about him. Damn that Murphy and his handsome facial hair. How dare he?
That handlebar doesn't get that well groomed by itself, you know.
No, it doesn't. I think Jerry Hardin might have sent him 3 days away, and he's still trying to get back.
With the repulsor beam.
With the repulsor beam. That's where he's at. Of course, we got the live stream. We got Sam with us here for live comments. Norman,
Hi,
of
Sam.
course.
Hi, Norman.
Welcome. It's Justin, right?
Yes.
Ooh, off to a rough start, Sam.
Yeah. That's. I have a cousin named Jason. My entire life, my grandmother has mistaken our names. I am fully used to that.
Oh, and just while we're still here in the intros, he's finally here. It's the World Mind Chris Murphy.
Hello.
I made it. The shuttle bay wasn't too late. I hopped on at the last moment. I'm here.
It sounds like you're inside of like a tin can right now. You must have the wrong mic setting.
Do I? Oh, damn it.
Okay, bye, Chris.
Oh, good. Well, while Murphy works on that, maybe we'll take some opening thoughts about the episode. Let's start with Heather. Do you like this episode?
I do. And you know what? I don't remember ever having seen it. It was brand new to me. Because when I rewatch TNG, I usually, cherry pick a couple episodes in the first season if I watch it at all. But I did not remember this episode at all. So it was brand new. It was brand new Star Trek 40 years later. I loved it. It was great fun. And the fashions and the children, but we'll get into that after. This is my Rochella of Aldea look. You can't really see my hair as well because I'm a brunette, but let me tell you, it looks very cute. And the costumes are bonkers. So we'll get at that later.
Absolutely. Well, I love the look of it. Justin, let's go to you next. I don't know if you're an X-Files fan or not, but Jerry Hardin here, known as the Cancer Man from that show.
Oh, we're going to come back to that. I love this episode. This is actually the first episode that I fully remember watching when it aired with my dad, only because I was obsessed with Wesley Crusher. I think I was just over 4.5 when this episode aired, and I was just obsessed with Wesley. So this one, It was always one of my favorites, so I'm really glad to be here talking about
Nice.
Aldea and their moral myopia.
Are you an 8? Sorry.
This is the first episode, I think, this season and in the series where Wesley actually gets to do some stuff other than shut up Wesley and save the ship and annoy everyone. So that was really cool to see.
It's a bit of a leader here. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think Chris is still sorting out his mic. So
Hello.
hello.
Are we good now?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
normal? I'm okay. Cool.
You're back.
Fabulous. Yes, I'm back.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your take on this episode.
it was an episode of Star Trek. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it, I guess.
Okay. Well, like last night when I mentioned to Kevin that we were going to be covering this one, he said it's kind of mid. And it kind of is, but I don't know. I know I've had some rose-colored glasses on for this first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I'm kind of with Justin. I got the nostalgia factor. I think we're almost the same age, Justin, within probably like a couple months. And so yeah, like I remember watching this as a kid, as well. Like I think it's of the first season episodes is one of these ones I don't skip. And watching it today, I'm like, I feel like there was a scene cut out of it. I feel like from the scene where like the kids beam back to when they go into like that reactor room, I feel like there's something missing there. There's some kind of moment where Jerry Hardin's character of Radu, I don't know, like comes around and says, "Will you help us? And will you help us change our society?" Because there's kind of a quick shift there. But other than that, I think it's mostly good. I think that Picard is pretty strong in the episode. He's got some moments here, but I don't know.
I enjoyed Brenda Strong's performance. Like she was always solid throughout this episode.
Brenda
she's always
Strong.
Yeah, she plays like Rochella
Oh, okay. Yeah. Rochella, the last baby to be born on this planet of Aldea. Right. He was Deep Throat. I thought he was Cancer Man on X-Files. Is it two different characters?
Cancer Man is what's his? Oh, I'm going to be really embarrassed about this.
Isn't he like
the skinny guy, the one with the smoking man, is the Cancer Man.
Okay, that's not Jerry Hardin. Jerry Hardin's
No.
a different character. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not a huge X-Files guy, so I got a little confused there. But my wife has corrected me here. Getting
Thank
closer
you, Jane.
Uncanny Suit 97 says, "Oh, you're almost through this terrible season. You're almost ready to get to the good stuff." I still think this is good stuff. Like I've sat through some boring Enterprise episodes, some boring Deep Space Nine episodes, and this is kind of as much as those. Like I think that I'd still probably watch this over a lot of those episodes, maybe because I just like this crew more.
The nostalgia is strong.
The nostalgia is strong with me. Anyway, let's get into the screenshots. We'll run through the plot and everything we saw in this episode, and we'll see if anything else strikes our thing. It starts with this. Really features Riker for the cold open here, as he's walking through the decks of the ship, runs into Billy or Tommy.
Harry.
Billy really runs into him.
Was it Barry? Is that his name?
Harry.
Harry, of course. Young Harry. What you doing, young Harry? Where you running to now? He was running from his dad, who was making him do calculus or something, and it was very stressful. This scene, for the record, made me afraid of calculus for the rest of my life. I still don't even know what it is, even though this guy says everyone has to have a basic understanding of calculus. What is this kid, like 8? I know it's the 24th century, but this is some heavy duty math they're pulling in here. The ABCs are now calculus, according to Norman. Yeah. Anyway, so we see that he takes off his son here. They have a little bit of tension, and
this guy is pretty rough hauling his son down the Enterprise corridor.
Get down here. That was the first officer.
This whole scene encapsulates the framing device of this entire episode.
Right. So then Riker says, okay, well, up to the bridge I'll go, as he runs into Picard, who has apparently been tracing breadcrumbs or a trail here, something weird has been going on. And he's like, I thought this would be the kind of thing you'd want to see, number one. He's like, it is. It totally is. I like mysteries and weird things that you show me, Captain. Please elaborate. And then they start talking about the myth of Aldea. It's this planet that could cloak itself and hide itself from raiders. And it's kind of this mythical thing that no one really believes in, Picard himself. But, you know, they're kind of intrigued out here. They're out here in space, and they're trying to figure out what they can discover. So Riker kind of gives the account to officers like Tasha and Dr. Crusher as he's going through all this. But then I don't know. He's like, this is how you buy a melon. Right, and you got to make sure they're firm and they're just soft enough. Jonathan Frakes, you know, when I get some of my like moments with him in screenshots, I'm just like, this guy is so good. I love his physical acting.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's so likable. And then they're going for it. But even though the sensors can't detect anything outside, guess who can? Counselor Troy.
That's right.
Yeah, she senses things. Maybe thousands of people out there.
Do you think that the power of hers is stronger when her hair is up like an antenna?
Oh,
Yes.
Absolutely. And
Yes,
that
it is.
onesie really amplifies it as well.
I would like to point out on Troy eye makeup watch, this is the first time that her eye makeup is purple and doesn't match her sash, which is sage green. Before, she's had an orange sash and orange makeup, and green sash and green makeup. But this is different, and I think it really contributes to her telepathic powers along with the hair antenna.
Purple is a mystical color.
That is correct.
Sure. Well, good observations there, Heather, on that. But I think if she matched more, it might work better.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm more of a matchy type myself. Anyway, so then suddenly they discover the planet. It uncloaks itself, and they've discovered Aldea. It must be Aldea. Everybody, Riker in particular has got the giddiness of this discovery. Picard is, wow, what a moment. That's our teaser.
I wonder if they dress naked like they do in Ryza.
You know. Like, I think that's it's a very classic Star Trek opening in some ways to me, because it's just, you know, like we're going to a strange new world, this mythical place that we kind of learned about, and what kind of discoveries are we going to happen here? And it ends up being kind of more of a nightmare episode, but in terms of if you're coming from the parents' point of view, but yeah, like that's where we're setting up to. So heading into When the Bough Breaks title card.
This is the free candy bus of planets.
Free candy bus, yes. Hey, come on, children. Would you like some candy? We get to meet Brenda Strong, who plays Rochella. Now, is Brenda Strong been in other things that I should know, Chris?
She has been in other things, which I am currently trying to remember through the power
Starship
of the
Troopers.
internet. Yeah, Starship Troopers. Was she? Yeah, that's right. She was
Captain.
the ship captain.
She's the captain.
Yeah,
That's
she's
who
Captain
she is.
Delator. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's also the nurse in Spaceballs, and she was Lillian Luthor in Supergirl.
Yeah. I remember her in Starship Troopers. She's like, somebody screwed up. Somebody really screwed up. Then they all then they're getting shot by the bugs and everything else. Okay.
Her hair is giving 80s aerobics instructor, and her outfit is like half Odo and half Jake Sisko.
Yes, you're spot on. It all 3 points.
Very busy.
Perfect.
Wow, that's very spot on.
Yeah. And like, you know, original series did this a lot, and like they kept doing it a little bit throughout, you know, DS9 Voyager, but this is like, you know, it's definitely like another alien planet where everyone looks exactly like a human does. You know, it's like, I gotta remember how many times this season that all the aliens are just, they just look like us anyway. They don't even have pointy ears. We're not even gonna try. And then Voyager went through this whole gambit of like, let's just do like one little ridge thing on the nose or something. You know, and then I think they said, we've run through all of the weird crooked noses now. We can't even do anymore. Anyway, so they are like, hey, we would like to meet you, the people of Aldea. We'd like to have a conference, and can we come aboard your ship and talk? He's like, oh yeah, sure, Picard says. Come over, and they instantaneously beam over, which sets off the security alarms. and everything else. We see that they're right away that the brightness of the bridge bothers them. Although I don't know if like the sets on their planet felt very dim to me, but I guess this is a little bit more bright. As Brenda Strong and Jerry Harding end up coming over. And they said, well, you know, our shield is too powerful. We can beam here, but you can't beam to us. So we would like you to come over and be our guests on the planet. And they're like, oh, okay, sure, we'll come on over. Here's a little gift. We brought you some flowers. And they mentioned that the brightness is bothering them. And then they beam out. And then shortly after, I think within a few seconds, like Riker, Troy, and Crusher are going to get beamed out. But before they do, Deanna Troi says they want something from us, something we don't think, or something they think we won't trade, something we won't give up, right? So they said, okay, that's weird, but let's find out where this goes. So then Riker and Dr. Crusher and Deanna Troi, the flowers for your children. Just look at the flowers, Lizzie.
The flowers are so weird. They look like Holiday Inn rejects stuffed into a cornucopia.
If I can get a better shot of them.
They're rough.
Yeah, they kind of look like. Yeah, they are a little odd, aren't they? The cornucopia.
Flamingo candy cane corns.
True.
Picard is super stoked about it, obviously.
He's like, oh, yeah, I just put this over here, and I'll give it a great place of importance, I think.
I think Lower Deck showed us what happens to all that stuff.
Just ends up in a room for samples. Okay, so then we head down to Aldea. Riker, and they all beam up, and they weren't even expecting to be beamed at that moment, so they're like, okay. So we get to meet, we already met the Brenda Strong and the Jerry Hardin. We get to meet a third character here from Aldea. This is Duana Ivy Bethune, who's like more elderly here. You know, so they end up sitting down. Meanwhile, Wesley Crusher's come up to the bridge to talk to Data about, what's up with this planet, and how did they disguise it? And they kind of describe it as a Romulan cloaking device, but way more sophisticated. The bending of light. You'd also have to like mask the gravity of the planet, wouldn't you? Like, wouldn't that be the more difficult thing to kind of hide, theoretically? Even if you can make something visual or make sensor, I don't know. So then we get this strong scanning beam thing that comes from Aldea, starts going through the bridge, big spotlight with a yellow thing, scanning it. And then it starts getting Wesley. It hurts. They're don't touch him. Don't touch Wesley while he's going through the scanner. We get some interesting camera angles through this scene.
Yeah, I noticed that, and at the start where they had all the bridge officers up at like the top arch, like they made some different camera choices and blocking choices in this episode than usual. Especially right here, it's almost like a fisheye lens.
The perspective, the field of view is changed on it. It's an interesting choice, not one that you see too much out of the earlier seasons, but
yeah, so this is
very 80s TV.
Kim Manners directed this episode, and Kim Manners only directed one episode of Star Trek Next Generation, this one. But then he went on to direct a lot of episodes of like the Supernatural show and what else? X-Files too. So more X-Files references here tonight. So anyway, but yeah, this guy never directed an episode again. Maybe they didn't like these camera angles. Anyway, so Wesley Crusher is eventually released from the scanning beam. He goes, I was scared, but it didn't really hurt. Okay, well, that was weird. And then they said, what else happened with the scanning beam? And they go, Worf goes, the children. They scanned the children. That was, well, then now they're kind of suspicious. This is a little sus now. What are they going to do? Down on the planet, Riker and Crusher and Troy, they don't know what the hell's going on. They're talking to, I keep forgetting this guy's character's name, Radu. And this is basically where he kind of, says to Riker, well, we want something from you. He explains that they can't have children on this planet, that the Brenda Strong character is the last child born, and she's clearly a woman in her 30s at least. And they say, well, maybe we can help you. Maybe we can help you figure this out. They go, no, we're obviously super smart. We don't need, if our scientists can't figure this out, you won't. And so basically, they try to make this plea to like trade for a few kids. They're like, we don't even want all of them. We just want a few.
Just to spice up the genetic population. Come on.
Yeah,
You can spare
come
a few.
on. You can make more. So, but Troy's like, I don't think you understand. Like she says, maybe some aliens would do this, but not humans.
No, she says humans are unnaturally attached to their children.
Right. I don't.
Aliens are just hatching babies and abandoning them. They don't give a fuck. It's fine.
What are betazoids not?
Betazoids, yeah, they just kick them out of the crib in Betazoid.
From what I can tell, most of the Federation worlds are pretty attached to their children, if not all the aliens, for that matter. Maybe not the Klingons. I don't know. But anyway, so
Cardassians let their children die by best friends, and then just keep trying to usurp planets and stuff. So.
True. The Cardassians are a little rougher on their kids. Anyway, so Riker basically says, no, that's our final answer. And so they decide, okay, well, that's it. Then we're going to have to play hardball with you. So they beam Riker and the team away. They go back to the bridge. And they kind of know they want the kids, but they take Wesley right in front of his mom here as he's gone. And they go out here. And we see that the only certain kids are taken from the Enterprise. They have more, but they pick about 8 of them, I think.
I love this kid snatching montage. You get to see kids all over the Enterprise dematerializing, and they only take the smart ones. They leave the dum-dums on the Enterprise.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. They want all the intelligence ones. And that's what their scanning beam was about.
Okay, so this is Alexandra. Does she bite her little pet right before she gets snatched?
I think she might. I think I did have a shot of that I deleted, but she kind of puts it up in her mouth or something.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be a kiss, but it kind of looks like she picks up her little pet and goes, ow, and then gets snatched.
I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out if this was meant to be a tribble or something else. Or
I thought about that as well, but it seems to have a little rat tail braid. I don't know if it's alive or it's a little stuffy that she's pretending is a tribble or...
Me either. I was also...
chicken.
At the end of the episode, she ends up putting this on Captain Picard's back, and then everyone has a laugh.
He super hates it because it's probably wet and stinky.
Exactly. But we'll get to that. Anyway, so they take Alexandra. Talk about some 80s hair here on Alexandra's mom.
Right.
A+ dream 80s hair. Like this perm is out of control, Toria.
Totally.
Amazing.
3-hour job at least.
Yeah, the musician girl gets taken, and then Worf's like, "Yeah, they took a bunch of kids." Right? I love how Worf's like job in the first season is mostly just to give these reports. But yeah, anyway, so then Jerry Hardin, Badu is like, "Well, we took him, and we won't hurt him at all. Don't worry about it." Picard is pissed for this whole thing. He says, "You act of barbarisms, you
claim to be a civilized world, and yet you've just committed an act of utter barbarity.
Another barbarity."
One of the favorite examples in season 1 of his Shakespearean chops.
Yes, no, me too. Yeah, like to me, like this, a couple of these moments for Picard elevates the episode.
They're very formative,
right? Where he's tough, and even though he doesn't particularly love kids, he's like, you're not taking our kids.
You're not taking our kids. Who will celebrate me on Captain Picard Day?
Exactly. Who's gonna make a little doll of me, and everything else? So Picard's like, well, you better talk to the parents. Anyway, so then we come down here to the planet on Aldea. But Wesley's the oldest of these kids. And so he's kind of like becomes their de facto leader here, who says, well, I'm sure they're working on it. The Aldeans come in to introduce themselves, and you can see here that what is the young girl's name? Alexandra, right?
The little one, yeah.
She's constantly like obviously looking at her mother or whoever off camera throughout most of this scene, but she's cute, I guess. She's grabbing Wesley's leg and all that, and Wesley, they're kind of figuring out that they're meant here to become the new generation of Eldians. We see here Alexandra. She's a little bit more friendly and goes up and shakes the hand here of Brenda Strong's character, who's quite taken with her, so much that she'll end up claiming Alexandra for herself over the couple, I guess, that was originally meant to adopt her. And yeah, back on the ship, we get like the teacher parents conference here. Now, a couple of the parents apparently are just civilians. They're not even in Starfleet at all. That kid we saw taken in the middle of the corridor, but there are a few Starfleet officers here present. Obviously, Dr. Crusher being the most advanced one, and the mother of Alexandra is very frantic. But Dr. Crusher's like, "Don't blame Captain Picard. It's not his fault." You know, we all know what we signed on to. Now, we can talk about the ethics of bringing children onto starships. You know, I think that I personally, I'm okay with it. But, you know, I know David and I have debated the merits of that in the past, whether it's ethical or not. You know, I think that there's danger everywhere. And, you know, you can't choose what you're born into. So this is how it goes sometimes. You might get assimilated. You might get blown up. That's a 24th century kid's life. I'm sorry.
They got the warp, bud.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
get
it's
to
no
go
different
warp.
than a kid going like following their military parent to whatever, you know, place of deployment that they're
Sure.
sent at. So
Yeah, like there's kids who live on bases with their parents.
And making the vessels the difference from the original series to Next Generation of having it have families on board was a very deliberate choice.
Yes. Yeah, and it gives you some interesting stories like this, you know, like and how it's the emotion of it is different than it was like in original series, right? So
kidnapping was all the rage in the 90s, right?
well, not the kidnapping part, but
Oh.
well, I guess it was. I was just watching some unsolved mysteries from the 80s and there was no kidnapping, stuff like that. Go back and watch those; they're fun. Anyway, so they're gonna work. Oh, and then this father, the father of. Is it Sammy, Danny, Bobby? Harry. He's like, last time I saw my son, I yelled at him. You know, I told him he had to do calculus.
Well, good. He was running wild in the corridors of the Enterprise. You got to nip that shit in the bud there.
Right into
Harry
the
father.
first officer.
Right into his junk. So anyway, so there's a little bit of that here. Then we see Alexandra back on the planet on Aldea playing hide and seek with Brenda Strong. They're getting along at first. Oh, these wholesome moments here. Then we see here that is it Harry? I'm going to get it eventually. Harry is put with his new adoptive parents, or who are meant to be these Aldeans, who are the artists,
who are super creepy. Both of them.
Yes. Very creepy.
All of them are pretty creepy, but these two especially are like the wide-eyed creep twins.
Yes.
It's not
Because
cute.
they are twins.
Why don't you eat some of the candy, children?
Oh no.
Would you like to learn how to sculpt? We don't know what a dolphin is, but you know, we'll sculpt it.
Have you heard our crest? Always pay our debts. We always pay our debts.
Ay.
This is like this episode's literally about human trafficking, basically.
Huh.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
is.
just reminds us that, you know, when faced with extinction, you can always steal from the stars.
Right.
Or at least in the even in the future, children are worth a profit.
Wow. You know, the look here on his face too, when he's like going with the creepo twins. You feel bad for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that right there.
That's a look of, did I just get pimped?
Ay.
You
This is-
did.
This is not what I signed up for.
No. So they say, "Oh, you're gonna be an artist." So they say they take him into their transporter. Look at that, just that look of sadness. I guess is all I think I can quantify it as he gets popped out. Then this girl, she ends up getting put with this old man who's like the foremost musician on the planet. You know, he's gonna teach them everything.
He's far too old.
Yes, to be a parent.
Yes.
But
I think how disturbing all of these characters and how old this guy is meant to illustrate just how ill prepared these people are for actual children, beyond the idea of like, oh, look, we need to reproduce, so let's just lure in the starship.
This man's well beyond his reproducing years.
Right?
Or child rearing years.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to keep up with that little girl.
No. But they take her away, and then I don't know. I guess Wesley's meant to be put with that lady, right? With the red hair. Oh, and this is where Brenda Strong shows up, and they say, "Oh, hey, wait, I told you, what are you doing now? Alexandra is meant to go with the new parents." And she goes, "No, she's mine now. I've claimed her."
Rochella de Mornay over here doing some hand that rocks the cradle shit. Absolutely not, girl.
Setting her up as the only person with any sort of parental instincts on that entire planet.
And she's still a creep.
Oh.
She's still a creep. Oh yeah. Even this may be her creepiest moment. Yeah, and even Jerry Hardin's like, this is not good.
This was a part of the deal.
Yes. So back
what
on
did
the
we
ship.
talk about getting high on our own supply?
Somebody get the net.
They're trying to figure out how to get through the shield here, back on the Enterprise. Picard and Riker talk. Picard's like basically like, I just got to keep them talking because if they think I'm willing to negotiate, they also mentioned this whole thing of their society is that like they feel the need to compensate people because they in the past were a very materialistic culture, so they try to be equitable with things. So he's like, I don't want anything from them, but like as long the second they think we're not going to negotiate or we're not going to play ball here, they're going to cut us off, cloak the planet, and we'll never see the kids again. So we got to keep this moving. We got to try to do the best with the situation as it is. It's almost like a hostage situation in some ways.
I mean, I don't see how a basket of flowers is not an equivalent gift of children. I mean, that's perfectly balanced in my book.
It was a cornucopia of flowers.
That means abundance, and I bet you those flowers were both less sticky and smelled better than all of those children.
Or the people on that planet.
Absolutely. So then we have Wesley. He goes to this room. What's this computer called again? Not
Guardian.
Central,
Caretaker's the Voyager one.
Concierge.
It's like something like that.
We're close.
Jarvis.
Oh, come on.
HAL 3000?
Why
I feel
can't I
like
remember?
Custodian. I knew I had it written down someplace.
And I think the word's important because I think it's meant to convey that, like, the people of this planet, they kind of let this whole computer system run it for them. They don't really have to think too much about how things work. Wesley asks to see the kids.
So Wesley goes in and he's like, Alexa, play Despacito.
The Custodian is like the closest thing Star Trek's ever had to actually having a world mind computer, which is like the basis off of like a whole Nova Marvel storyline. But it's a discussion for another day. Well, Custodian, really implies like this thing just cleans up after everybody.
It does. You're right. It is but it takes care. I guess I have to look up the definition of custodian. Anyway, so we see here Harry is learning how to sculpt in wood with this tool,
sonic screwdriver
of sorts, I suppose. They're like, don't worry, he's gonna be a great artist. We're gonna teach him everything in like a short time. He has to see the Alexandra, who's looking at these floaty ball things. I guess they got.
I too watched YTV commercials as a kid.
It is very YTV, isn't it?
It's also like Alexander and Luoxana in the holodeck in Costa. Is it Costa Living where they go on the holodeck in the mud bath and like the higher the fewer?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the higher the fewer. Yeah, no, it was interesting to see. And then I think Wesley asks, "What's behind that door?" And she's like,
"I don't know."
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
No, never thought about it. If you want to know, eventually she's like, if you want to know a question, ask the custodian, which you have like level 3 clearance now, so you can ask any question you want. Cost of living is confirmed from Norman there. So thank you,
Norman.
Thank you. So then they get on the call here with Jerry Hardin. I can't remember what the outcome of this conversation was. Oh, this is where Picard says, okay, I'm going to come down and negotiate. So he says, just before we get started, you have to let us see the kid. And he is like, no, let us see Wesley. And then they say no. They talk for a little bit. He says, we don't need them back. You can always have more, etc. Oh, yeah. The earlier scene was when Picard says, I'm bringing Crusher instead of Riker. And that there was a whole thing there. So eventually, Dr. Crusher is allowed to go see Wesley, and this is all a ruse so that Wesley Crusher can be handed this medical tricorder scanner device.
This is like the least slick shit to ever happen on an alien planet. Wesley literally holds it up and goes, "Oh," and puts it down. Come on, Wes. You're an acting ensign now. You got to do better.
Yeah, like this was a little weak for me too, because it felt like, Dr. Crusher probably could have just scanned from her pocket or something. But this was, I guess to give Wesley actually gets to do some things in this episode, and this is one of the things
very nice.
This is one of the things he does. This little hand, he scans the back of her head, and then he gives it back to his mom in short order here, who then goes back to the ship. So then they get beamed back. And Jerry Hardin says, you want to see just a small demonstration of our power? Let's have a look here. And they get hit with the repulsor beam, which was pretty impressive. Kind of maybe similar to the technology the Caretaker used to bring Voyager to the Delta Quadrant.
I was going to bring that. I wonder if there was a connection.
I wonder if there is too, because we find out that this is just maybe 1% power or something. But we see the Enterprise gets flung across space, very far away. I love how Jordy's like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
Hold on to your visors, folks.
As he gets put over here, eventually Jody says, "This can't be right, Captain. We're 3 days away from Aldea at warp 9." And then Jerry Hardin's like, "Next, you don't play ball with us when you come back. We'll send you so far away. By the time you get here, your kids will be grandparents when they come back, but maybe not because they're getting radiation sickness." But it's kind of our big moment here. Captain Picard, what are you gonna do, right? So then we get a captain's log, a little bit of a time jump, and he says, "Yeah, we've been going for a day here or 3 days trying to get back to the planet." We see the scene here where the young girl is playing the music with the older man. He's like, feel. You play with your emotions with this sort of psychic xylophone thing.
I had psychic speak and spell, but I think xylophone is more accurate. Also, then he's like, "Play something happier." Dude, I've been kidnapped.
Yeah.
Right.
Not really in like a happy little ditty kind of mood here.
The complete cluelessness that they have the Aldeans written as in this show, like how the complete lack of guile, like they just steal the children straight up. The fact that she's not suspicious of Wes scanning her at all, like this dude being like, "Play me something happy."
Yeah, they're a little bit naive at the very least. They're very dependent on their custodians, dum-dums, according to Norman. Yeah, they're sheltered, I think would be another way of kind of maybe considering it.
They're the real children in the episode.
They act like children, maybe because they don't have children anymore, like, or not, that they've sort of lost something in their culture. So she's like, "I don't feel happy." He's like, "Oh, that's sad." Meanwhile, Harry's a little happier. He's doing better with the creepo parents, who are getting him to carve things. And he's like, "Do I have to do calculus?" He's like, "No, you never have to do calculus." So I guess he's a cool dad. I don't know.
I'm not a regular
reminds
dad.
me-
I'm a cool dad.
This episode sort of reminded me of that one episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, where the two kids get abducted by like faceless aliens, and they're like put through all these things, and they're given everything that they want, and they can have all these things, and the kids start getting suspicious, and they're like, "We're being attacked by aliens." It's like, "You were aliens all along." Am I the only one that remembers this?
Not that specific one, but
I remember that. This scene in particular with these creepos made me feel like The Omen. It's all for you, Damien.
It gave me the no feeling. Too many adult hands on children. No.
For 80s Hollywood,
sir.
this was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In a meta context.
Keep those mitts to yourself, creep. Go paw your twin sister.
Yeah, let's keep exactly. All right. Then finally the Enterprise makes it back to Aldea. Picard, I'm here, and Jerry's like, "Oh, I bet you're ready to talk now, Picard. Let's get to it." Dr. Crusher then comes up and says, I know what it is. They have radiation something or other. They're sterile. It's just the latest symptom. It's affecting them in all kinds of ways. He's like, can we treat it? She's like, yes, with the proper thing. I think then he says, good job, doctor. We see here that so after that reveal, then we go back to the Creepo twins, who we see she's putting some cream on her hand to protect herself from or to help with the legions, which I guess are coming from the radiation. They talk about this being like similar to how the ozone layer was depleted in the last century, but I don't know if people got lesions like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, because we stopped using hairspray, so it's all good. CFCs.
Yeah. Is that why the 80s hair went away?
Yes, because we weren't allowed to use hairspray anymore.
Yeah. Okay. It's the same reason why cling wrap sucks now.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Speaking of 80s, this dolphin that Harry carved is peak 80s decor.
I saw some of these when I was a kid. Yeah.
Pretty sure my godmother had this on her coffee table.
100%. And if it wasn't in that kind of burnished mahogany or teak or whatever wood it was in like painted ceramics, painted ceramics.
Sedona turquoise. But they had
lots of dolphins in the 80s.
True, but they had never. They thought first he has to explain to like the dolphin is it's like a fish, but not. And they're like a fish. Oh, we used to have those, but I guess they all died from the radiation. Is that what we're led to believe here too?
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. So he says that's not important, but they don't have anything like that here. And then he kind of talks about his dad, doing something with his dad, and it kind of throws some cold water on the moment here.
Need to throw some cold water on the moment.
How dare you talk about your birth father that we kidnapped you from 12 hours ago?
You've ruined bath time.
Yeah. It was such a nice moment with our dolphin. We just found out what a dolphin was, and then you had to.
We were gonna let you play with that dolphin in the bath.
We see here. Alexandra's like, I want my mommy, and
this very maternal pose right here.
Yes. We see the kids are rebelling. The other thing we found out about the radiation was that they don't have any appetite, these Eldians, because it's another symptom of it. Because they say we need very little. We need to eat very little. It's just that they can't eat. But Wesley doesn't feel like eating either. He misses his family. He wants to go home, and they're like, "Come on, you're our home. You're here in Aldea. It's gonna be great. You're gonna be like a big shot here." Then later on, I guess there's a bit of a time jump. I feel like there's a scene missing in between these scenes, but we see here Wesley hops out of bed, goes to the custodian room with the transporter, and then he finds out where he's like, shh, be quiet.
The Custodian, Volume 1. Jeez.
Yeah, Volume 1. Show me where all the kids are. He gets to the locations, and then more creepiness here as he's the hand that comes out here and gets her as Wesley wakes her up and says, I'm staging a strike. Hold on. I got a whole plan here, kid. We're going to get this all together. So then we have a time jump back to the ship. Dr. Crusher, I think, is figuring out that this is where she's figuring out that it's similar to the ozone layer business of our world.
This terminal that she's using is most excellent.
Oh yeah, I always wanted one of these. It's a cool little laptop, I guess. Is what is before there were laptops, flat screen laptops and all that. Anyway, so Wesley Crusher he's like, we're doing a hunger strike, everybody. They say, well, I kind of like them. He's like, I kind of like them too, but screw them. You want to go home? We gotta fight fire with fire here.
This is great. I love Revolutionary Wesley. Passive resistance, bitch.
The mining of 80s socio-political culture in this episode is so heavy-handed. I love it, but a lot of people really hate how much this is pretty much an after-school special.
I don't mind it. It's very kid-focused, but that's all right. Anyway, so then Wesley's like, we want to go home. Dr. Crusher comes up. this is where they're kind of come up with their plan. Like they think they can. So Data says we think we can get through the shield, but it's it's very spotty. It's easier to go in than try to pull the kids out with the transporter. But we think if we can get to their computer room, maybe we can mess things up. So they have like sort of like this whole plan. He's like, okay, I'll keep stalling with the Aldeans, and then you guys are gonna kind of go and do your mission behind the scenes while I distract them, right? This is where the creepo mom brings the tray of fruit for the kids. And Alexandra's like, I want fruit. And he's like, no, Alexandra, we have to do our hunger strike. She's like, okay.
Tell it wasn't the 90s yet because there wasn't Sunny D on that tray.
Right. No fruit roll-ups either. Anyway, so then Data and Riker get ready in their position. Worf is waiting for Picard to get beamed out with Crusher. And when the second they get beamed out, Worf goes, go! And the plan has been is afoot here. As Data and Riker head down, and they get into the computer system, and he's like, I don't think we'd have to have voice commands, but I think I can, at least put a virus in, scramble the inputs, and get this moving here. Picard, talking. He's talking to Jerry Hardin, but then Jerry Hardin's like, these kids are hunger striking on us. You got to do something, Picard. So Picard goes over here to talk to Wesley and the kids. He's like, I like this hunger strike business. Good job, guys. And then Harry says, can you tell my dad that I'm sorry I yelled at him or I made him upset last time I saw him? He's like, you will tell him himself, and I will tell him how great a son he has. This is amazing. Then Alexandra wants a hug here from Picard. And I think this is an interesting thing, too, just because, like, if you've watched enough of the original series, Captain Kirk loves to pick up a little kid, especially a girl, and carry her around everywhere he goes. And Picard very much not that, very uncomfortable, just like looking down her.
I love it. He just looks down. He's like, hello, Alexandra.
Yeah, I know who you are.
That's it.
His very Picard attitude towards children on display here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This is where I got my attitude towards children from.
Yeah.
Look at this. She's just mashing that raggedy old stuffy onto
that
his
she
face.
had in her mouth.
Yeah, that thing has got lots of viruses and things on it. I gotta tell you. Yeah. Anyway, so then Captain Picard comes back with the kids. What's the meaning of this, Picard? I'll tell you what the meaning is. They're coming with us. And guess what? You guys are a bunch of radiated, sterile kids. And you don't even know what you're doing. Dr. Crusher kind of explains to them that they've, been poisoning their planet with this shield and this cloaking device. And he goes, impossible. Our scientists would know. He's very villain-esque here. He's like, I don't want to listen to any of this. So he's basically about to like beam them away forever. But Brenda Strong does try to intervene here, but he doesn't care. I think he still tries to beam them away, and too late, because guess what? Picard and Data got it. They got it done. They got the upper hand now. And Jerry Hardin's not too happy about it. He's like, you've killed us. You've killed our whole world. He's like, or have we? Let's find out. We see here, Harry says goodbye to the Creepo twins. The more hands on. Yeah. Good job, Harry. He's like, I'll get your dolphin. He's like, no, you keep the dolphin. Oh, good, man.
We'll always have the dolphin.
Well, you always have the dolphin.
And the Creepo twins are like, we're bathing with that dolphin tonight, sis.
It's gonna be their little rubber ducky.
Rubber ducky.
Anyway, so the kids get beamed out. They're gone, and Jerry Hardin. This is so sad. He's like, "We'll help you, Jerry Hardin." Then they end up going into this reactor, which I think is one of the coolest scenes. Like, it looks so neat to me.
This is peak 80s sci-fi framing.
Yeah. Yeah. Runs it like Judge, or not, like, in Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, Dredd, Lord Dredd, and wherever he lived, Volcania or something.
Giant volcano pyramid thing.
Yeah, machine volcano thing. Yeah, this is what it reminded me of a lot. And apparently the radiation is pretty strong from this thing. They need to repair it and never use it again for cloaking or whatever. But they'll be able to have, with treatment, they'll be able to start having kids again. They'll be able to save their population. So that's a happy story. I do feel like there's a scene here where Jerry Hardin really flips around and then we got cut out. You see, he seems to be on board with it. He's like, we were destroying ourselves the whole time. We see here Harry's back with his dad, who's like, you can be whatever you want to be, kid, but you still have to be calculus. Fucking calculus. Who wants to do that?
Narrative framing.
Yeah. And then they head up to the bridge here. Wesley brings Alexandra. What is the meaning of this, Wesley? She wanted to say thank you for bringing her back to her mother, Captain. She brings more, I guess, this twig with ornaments on it or whatever it's meant to be.
Jeweled.
I think it's meant to be like a bejeweled lilac is my best guess at it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a piece of shit. Throw it in with the cornucopia.
Yeah, I have a room just for this, Alexandra.
That was definitely on the Home Shopping Network.
Right. And she gives him the hug. And then they're all laughing at Picard. He was given a little thing from a kid. He's got that thing stuck to his back, and it's quite hilarious.
I didn't notice that
I missed that
stuck
too.
to his back.
Yeah.
That's cute. This is a very, with the crew giggling at him and kind of the little lighthearted music, it's a very sitcom-y moment, which I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I guess they're all getting a little bit more comfortable with each other too, because when the show starts, Picard is very detached from the rest of them, and that continues pretty much throughout the series. Famously, he ends the series playing poker with the officers, and kind of letting his hair down, if for lack of a better term.
Spoilers. Jeez, Dave. I guess we don't have to do this podcast anymore.
Exactly. Anyway, so that is the end of the episode in terms of screenshots. We'll hit up some trivia for this episode and just talk about, we like to call this details discovered by Dave. But first, before we head there, let's see the comments. That girl is 41 years old now. Oh my god.
Alexandra?
I'm also 41, so I would have been that kid's age at the time. So interesting. Wesley preparing for activism, whether he is here or on Solemn. Yes, there's a Prodigy reference for you, Murphy. And why did they pick 8 kids? Yeah, hardly enough to maintain a population or build an entire world.
I don't think the Aldeans' foresight is their strongest trait.
And they didn't want any dumb kids. So
they had enough stupid people.
Yeah, Dave is old. And Brenda is beautiful. Okay.
Feel attacked.
Yeah. Mini vibes from this. Miri vibes. Oh, is it? Well, in the sense of a captain picking up a kid and stuff. But Captain Picard is not as flirty with those kids as Captain Kirk was with his. So we'll park that here. Okay. Just give me a sec to get there. And all right. Details discovered by Dave. I know we all want to get to the big debate here with Trump and Harris. I don't know if you guys heard, but the Americans are having an election this year.
My wife is very glad that you decided to occupy my time this evening.
So this episode takes its name from the children's lullaby "Rockabye Baby." When the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. The holographic doctor, would later adapt the lullaby for B'Elanna Torres's baby and sing it to 7 of 9 in the Voyager episode Human Error. Ooh. The Enterprise D being blasted away from Aldea is similar to the original Enterprise being hurled 990.7 light years away from the Kalandon outpost in the original series episode That Which Survives. Okay. The visual effect of the Enterprise D being blasted away from Aldea is reused in the episode Q-Who and also in the episode Tin Man.
Oh.
No, Sam, I am not. I am very Canadian. Very, very Canadian.
Yeah. Justin, are you American? No Americans tonight.
No, I just have an obsession with their politics.
Just Norman in the comments. He's the only one. The Aldean planetary shield and cloaking device was not a full-scale set piece, but rather a 3-foot-long maquette, as well as was revealed in the Reading Rainbow Season 5 episode, The Bionic Bunny Show, which you can watch on YouTube. So yeah, there's a whole episode of Reading Rainbow where LeVar Burton, who was the host of that show, comes on and says, "Look what we're doing, here on the Enterprise. We have to get this going, or I have to answer the captain's orders." That's my LeVar Burton. Effects supervisor Robert Legato explained that it was kit bashed out of parts from a model kits of aircraft carriers, tanks, and cars. Michael Okuda elaborated, "I built the Aldean reactor core. Rob Legato and Gary Hutzel came to me and asked me to work with them on that shot. They needed something cool and powerful looking, but had no money in the budget to build anything. I had an idea for an eternally lit structure that would mostly be seen in silhouette. The advantage of this would be that the model could be fairly simple." That's that thing at the end where we were talking about. But would look dramatic because of the lighting. I used parts from several children's toys and model kits, including a space shuttle launch tower. I think I even used some leftover pieces from a Star Trek The Motion Picture Space Dock model. Wow. So that thing that we were saying looked so cool and so interesting was like something they just built sort of with a low budget and practicality and a couple of things they found just out in the world. So movie magic, everybody.
Yeah, Michael and Denise Okuda are responsible for so many of the really cool things on Next Generation. And a lot of them were cobbled together like that, just out of, okay, I have an idea. What have we got? Let's make it happen. I think that's really cool.
The kit bashing that they did for some of these series in the 80s, like Star Trek especially, is...
Yeah. The melody that Katie plays for the old man is the same piece of music used as the Travelers theme in Where No One Has Gone Before, scored by Ron Jones. Yeah, I was like, I'm like, so she's just playing the TNG score? Is that what's happening here when she was doing it?
She originated it on the psychic xylophone.
There you go, the psychic xylophone. The episode's score, composed and conducted by Ron Jones, was recorded in 1988. The complete episode score, totaling 27 minutes and 30 seconds, appears on disc 3 of the Ron Jones Project Collection. Oh, I didn't know this was a thing. This is Shearer's favorite episode. Who's Shearer? In particular, she praised... The writer, okay.
Yeah.
In particular, she praised Will Wheaton's performance. Alas, poor Wesley got the brunt of a lot of criticism, but he was really extraordinary with those kids and turned them into a little family on the set. And I think it really translated. And I think, yeah, Wesley, like of these first season episodes, this is probably one of the better Wesley episodes or Wesley featured episodes. And I think I don't know if I have any more trivia to say other than the guy who plays Jerry Hardin, who plays Radu or whatever. He's also Mark Twain in Times Arrow. You got to be Twaining. Oh, quite the thing. Anyway, let's get into our ratings, everybody, and see what score we want to throw on this episode. As Norman's like, oh, I guess I got to leave the podcast. I got to watch this debate, and now I guess I gotta go watch it now too. Okay, so when the bow breaks, let's throw in a rating here. I think I don't think the episode's the best ever, and it's not the worst ever. It's like, for me, it's kind of like a 7, and that's where I'm gonna start us off tonight. Murphy.
I'm gonna give it like a 5. It's right down the middle for me on this episode. Nothing special.
It's an episode. That's how you started the podcast.
Yeah.
Heather.
Well.
I'm gonna give it a 6. It's not a super standout, but as I said at the top of the episode, I don't remember it at all. So it was fun to watch a new to me TNG story because I didn't think there were any of those. I thought it was fun. The costuming was bonkers. The 80s perms were out of control. Like, that's worth a point at least. And it was really nice to see Wesley actually getting to do something instead of the shitty writing that they usually subjected the character to. So that was cool.
It was a better writing for and Picard, I think, has some good moments here too. My favorite quote, which is what I have here on my little letterboard in my background here. I don't know if I can get it right there. It's hard to see, but it says this one of my favorite Picard quotes:
"Things are only impossible until they're not."
Things are only impossible until they're not. I think that it's not huge standout for me either, but I think there are a couple of moments here that I think are worth remembering. So, Justin, what would you like to give this?
For a season 1 episode, I'd say it's a 7. For an STNG episode, it's a 5. And for Star Trek overall, it's probably a 4. So I'm going to settle on a 6 overall for this episode.
Yeah. The rating system can be a little tough because everyone has their own way of doing it, I guess. Anyway, so we're averaging a 6 out of 10 tonight, guys. I feel like that feels about right. It has a 6.3 on IMDb. It's people like it more than Too Short a Season, just barely.
Oof.
Yeah, I know, which we did not like last week. And I think that we can close the book here on When the Bough Breaks. This is next episode. We are going to be doing Home Soil, which is the one with the ugly bags of mostly water, if you remember.
Yeah.
With the little silicone-based entities. So we'll be talking that now. So our next panel is going to consist of Davin, Adam, and Jody. So watch out for that next week. And I'm sure you'll see the other panelists here back before we know it, covering another episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Boring. It's not boring. I like that episode. Justin, will you be on again? I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, I wouldn't invite me back over to my house, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I think you'll be back, Justin. Sam giving this a 7. Norman also giving it a 7. Yeah, I'm going to watch that debate. He wants to know if you've been to Newfoundland, Justin.
I have not. The farthest east I have been in Canada is Montreal. I'm sorry. I haven't been. I've been west, but I haven't been too east. I will get out there.
Sam, are you from Newfoundland? Why do you ask?
He
Are you
lives
a Newfoundlander?
Yeah,
Does he? I'm from Labrador, bud.
Yeah. So are Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, are they the same tribe or are they separate groups?
Pretty sure you'll get cut with a lobster claw for asking that question.
They're different, same province, different land masses. Labrador is big next to Quebec, and Newfoundland is its own island in the ocean.
I guess I meant, I know the geography of it, but the...
Well, not everybody does. I get that a lot. People say, where are you from? I say Labrador, and they go, oh, Newfoundland. I go, no, I just said Labrador. Yay, Labrador!
I meant more like culturally, I guess.
Culturally similar, for sure.
Yeah, I am from Newfoundland. There you go. Confusing. Newfoundland and don't forget the Labrador. The Newfoundland and Labrador at the Briar. So, with all that said, Justin, you're dealing with a lot of East Coast people here. I'm born in Halifax. Murphy's actually from Halifax, and of course Heather from Labrador, but now in New Brunswick. So
I was born and raised in Hamilton. I am within 70 kilometers of everywhere I've ever lived in Ontario. I am a very central Canadian boy from the GTA. I am, culturally probably closer to an American than some of our East Coast friends, just because I'm so close to Toronto. But
that's why you're so eager to run off and watch that debate.
Oh, no. I'm not allowed. I was told I'm not allowed to watch it until tomorrow. It's not good for my blood pressure.
Okay.
Yeah. Or anybody's.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the debate a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, me too.
2 thumbs down.
Yes.
Do not want.
Deeply down. Before we wrap up, I just want to say that Jerry, or Deep Throat's character in this is definitely of the same race as the Aldeans. The progenitors created the Maul, X-Files, and Star Trek: The Next Generation, all tied back together. And Mark Twain was definitely an alien shapeshifter. DM me and I'll give you the full conspiracy download.
I like it.
That sounds way better than the debate.
Do I have any? I couldn't remember if I had any Mark Twain on here. I don't think I do. I think I have only on my soundboard. Well, anyway, guys, we'll sign off for tonight. I know we're looking to get out of here. And I'll leave you with this. Picard having a good moment here. Thanks to Heather, Justin, and Murphy. We'll see you next time here on the show. All right.
Captain, your children are with us. My word of honor, no harm will ever come to them.
Harm has already come to them.
Captain, let us begin discussions regarding appropriate compensation.
Compensation? You have stolen our children away from their classrooms, away from their bedrooms, and you talk about compensation. You claim to be a civilized world, and yet you've just committed an act of utter barbarity.
All right, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.